Thank you, Dr. Dinesh. Good morning, everybody. I shall now be talking about OCT in outer and inner retinal disorders, findings and response to treatment. This is just now we have learned about the different layers of retina which are seen on OCT. So the knowledge of layers are very important while interpreting any changes, any pathology in the retina. So the outer retinal disorders which we commonly see are age-related macular degeneration, other causes of choroidal neovessel, CSR, or retinal pigment epithelial degenerations. In age-related macular degeneration, the most commonly we see the geographic atrophy. In this, you see there is the overlying retinal layers, they get thinned out with loss of photoreceptor layer. There is attenuation of the RPCC complex, and there is increased reflection from the deeper layer of the choroid. So even in a, this may sometimes be misinterpreted as a choroidal neovessel, but there is no overlying changes, and the retina overlying is thinned out. In the classic choroidal neovessel, it is seen as a localized fusiform thickness of the RPCC layer and associated with overlying changes in the retina such as edema or a neurosensory detachment. Occult is seen as an ill-defined area of irregular thickened fragmented layer, and there are overlying changes in the retina with fluid either in the intraretinal space or in the neurosensory retinal detachment. Again, you can see the topography also. So these are different forms of CNVM. This is more of a fibrosed. This is with the PED, and there is a fluid in the neurosensory space, and there may be overlying CME along with the choroidal neovessel. If there is a lot of retinal hemorrhages, the underlying layers may be masked because of the hemorrhage. It will not allow the light to go in, and this may be masked. But other changes in the retina, intraretinal or in the subretinal space can be seen. Another situation is a occult choroidal neovessel in the presence of a large PED. There you see a fluid in the sub-RPE space along with changes in the epi-RPE space of CME or and in this choroidal neovessel may not be very evident. Again, a case with a large PED and overlying changes in the retina. Hemorrhagic PED, you may not be able to define anything because of the presence of thick blood. RPE RIP, which can be seen spontaneously or a response to treatment by anti-VEGF also, is seen as discontinuation of the layer of RPE, and this is a complication nobody likes to have after especially giving any injections. So at the moment, the best way to monitor any case of age-related macular degeneration wet kind where there is a CNVM is the OCT. All the treatment protocols are based on OCT. You should not only look at the thickness map but also look at the morphological changes occurring in the retina or in the subretinal space. This is a patient with a large PED occult CNVM with repeated monthly injection of anti-VEGF. You see the flattening of the RPED and the overlying fluid has gone. In these cases, especially with a large PED, it is not always possible to fully flatten it, and once the overlying changes, they become stabilized and the vision gets stabilized, one can go to PRN treatment. Another patient with age-related macular degeneration, and sometimes even with a 1 or 2 injection, you are able to get a foveal contour back, but these patients sometimes they become dry, and there is a sequentially, if we see over the time, there may be geographic atrophy coming in these cases. In myopia, the changes on OCT are not very much compared to age-related macular degeneration, and in these cases, the best way to follow up is fluorescein angiography leakage, then OCT. Idiopathic CNVM, again the features are similar. There may or may not be much changes in the inner retina. So in choroidal neovessel, it is important. OCT is important for diagnosis, follow-up, and to prognosticate. In CSR, as a primary investigation, OCT has replaced fluorescein angiography. It helps to monitor and also to see the response to laser. In this, you see fluid in the subretinal space, and this is enough to make the diagnosis of CSR with the clinical pictures. There may be presence of a PED which is commonly seen in cases with CSR. And this is a patient pre and post laser. This is the best way to monitor the absorption of the subretinal fluid. In idiopathic juxtafoveal telangiectasia, sometimes there may be confusion regarding the presence or absence of a CNVM. So OCT is the best to rule out the presence of choroidal nevi vessel in these cases. And in this you see there is a atrophy of the overlying retina in the center. And there may be hyporeflective atrophic spaces in these cases. Of the inner retinal disorders, the most common are the vascular disorders such as diabetic retinopathy, central retinal vein occlusion, branch retinal vein occlusion, and arterial occlusions. See, in diabetic, there are different patterns which are described. Most commonly seen is a sponge-like retinal thickness, cystoid macular edema. There may be presence of a subfoveal serous detachment, and there may be associated foveal TRD or taut posterior hyaloid membrane resulting in vitreomacular retraction, which may not be evident otherwise. This is how a spongiform thickness in one segment you will see the retina is thicker compared to the other area. This is commonly seen. Then there is the presence of cystoid macular changes in the retina, and lot of patients they have a there is a subfoveal serous detachment, and these are cases in which most of the time you see progression of the hard X-rays to the center. Sometimes the clinical picture may not be showing much, but OCT you see a lot of other findings which are not clinically evident and which explain all the vision loss which is there in the patient. One more thing which is not easily discernible on clinical examination or other investigation, the vitreomacular retraction, and these changes can explain the failure of anti-VEGF or the worsening of patient on after laser if OCT has not been done previously. This is a patient with a diabetic CME, and this is a response to treatment, and OCT again is the best way to follow up these patients after once you start giving anti-VEGFs, and we have to look for either the whole fluid goes or there is a stabilization. So the role of OCT in diabetes is to confirm the presence of retinal thickening, to detect and quantify CME, to rule out vitreomacular retraction, to guide treatment modality, and to monitor the response to treatment. In branch retinal vein occlusion, there is a cystic changes in the inner retina, and which is generally in one sector only. And there can be presence of a foveal detachment in the center. And this is again OCT is the best tool to monitor these patients when you start the treatment with anti-VEGFs. In central retinal vein occlusion, cystoid macular edema is most commonly seen, and because of hemorrhages, sometimes there can be shadowing. This is a patient with CME because of central retinal vein occlusion, and this is a response to treatment, and OCT again is the best form to follow up these patients. Thank you.